going to do a Honda Talon install. It's not quite the traditional Honda Talon install because he has a plate where we typically put the intercom. He wants the radio on the bottom and he's going to do the cushion clamps on the top. But we're going to go ahead and make an install video on it. It's pretty self-explanatory to put it right here, and we'll get into it right now. So the first thing we're going to do is just take off the hood. I'm sure you know how to do that. And we got to get this little splash plate off. There's some clips right here. I'm going to take these little plastic clips off, and then we're going to get back into the ACC. You can see it back inside there to tap into the ACC, but it looks like somebody's already tapped it, so we might have to do something different. So yeah, you can see right here, that guy right there. I'm going to reach my hand in there. That's your ACC, and it's already been tapped. You can see the white wire. They've already used the tap, so it's being used for the winch. So I'm going to tap off of it for the ACC, but I'm actually going to put a relay switch on this because the Hondas have got really dirty power. Power directly back from the battery. And I think I'm going to take the kick panel off, and I think I'm going to run down the kick panel for the battery to the battery on the driver's side, and go right into the battery box.
Good.
So to get that, I needed to take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one inside here. You can see it on the outside. It's poking through. I'm pulling out right now. One on the inside. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 push pins. And then there's 2 Allen heads that you pull out to get this out. Okay? Okay, you're going to have to loosen this 5mm. And there's a push pin actually right behind here that I've already loosened just to show you guys. I've already popped it out. So that was the 16th one. And now this panel right here should come out. I've already kind of popped it free, but you can see there's an ear right here that you got to pull out. Another ear right there. There's a third one back inside there. But now this thing, oh, there's another one. I missed that guy right too. So that's. Now we can get in here and run some wires back and forth. I've actually started running down the kick panel because a lot of times the tunnels have got a lot of accessories. Like he's got an S&B particle separator and a few other winches and stuff. So there's a lot of electronics going on there. This is a cleaner area where there's not a lot of electronics, so I'm going to run the power and probably the coax down this kick panel. There's actually one more push pin back behind that door, but this is loose enough that I can feed the wire in here, so I'm just going to leave that push pin there and just kind of leave this loose. Remember to put the flathead screws in. The stock screws that come with the radio kit don't fit, so we've included these little flathead ones that work great, so you can slide it right into the dash. So if you're getting it just the do-it-yourself kit and just adding the bracket later, you may need to purchase these, and I'll put the size on the video. But again, if you're buying the combo kit or the radio already, we'll have these radio screws ready to go. Connect this up so I can run my coax to the proper length. You can see my coax is coming out here. I'm just leaving it loose right now. I'll button it up at the end. So it's coming down the same place where my power went. So I just got it run, again, loose. The power's loose. We're going to put one on one side. We're going to have both on this side of the roll bar. But we're going to have probably we'll have one on top and one lower on the bar. That way we can keep them separated as much as possible. But right now, again, we're just running everything loose, and then we'll button things up at the end. Continuing the coax run, there's the kick panel I've run down. I'm just going to run it up kind of through. I got to cross over a couple power wires. A little nervous about those, but usually crossover's fine. We'll find out when I do a final test if I need to move that or not. I'm going underneath there, and then I'm going to poke through right here. I'm sorry I needed a second hand, but I was able to pop it through. There's enough space there for the wire. And I'm just going to have it come up here, and I'm going to connect it right there, and hopefully everything sounds good. Got the swivel mount installed, just with those two clamps right there, and it looks like I'm just a bit long on my coax, so I'm going to have to feed it back down through and find a place to burn it up. What you don't want to do is coil it up in a coil, kind of like an extension cord. Like if you coiled it up like this and just kind of coiled it up underneath, that's not good. So my coax wire, you can kind of see it right there. There's the power wire that crosses over. Coax wire goes up over the bar. This is where I burnt up my extra. I just had about 2 feet extra. If I would have had a 12 foot, it would have been perfect, but we don't have 12 feet, so it's 15 or 10. And then it just goes up inside there, comes out right there, goes up and around and into the antenna, which is right there. So we need to keep the power separated from the coax. So there's enough room here that I'm going to keep my coax over here, my power over here. So we're just going to start buttoning this up. I can't P-clip it because it'll go through the other side, so don't be make sure you're not exposed. I didn't want to put a hole through his footboard there, so what I'm going to do is just go against this, this clip right here. Nice thing about going down the kick plate is there's not a lot of cords running down here. The only bad thing is you want to keep the cords on this side of the roll bar, because if a rock ever comes and smashes this plastic, you don't want it smashing your power or your coax wire. Now if you remember, I had extra coax back there, so a little bit I'm going to burn up right here. So I just pushed my 1.88 clamps around. So I got the 188, or sometimes we call them the 2-inch, but they're really 188. And now I'm just going to mount the intercom right there. So I was fighting these coax, or these cushion clamps a little bit. They're the 188. They're quite tight, and sometimes you fight them. So what I typically do is I'll just get an extra M5 nut or some vice grips or something like that. Just pinch them together, finish up some of the rest of the install, and then come back to it. It'll kind of spring them into place, makes it a little bit easier. So they're still a fight, but once they're in, so they don't spin around the bar. But now that I've let these sit for about 30 minutes, I'm ready to tackle these again. And these cushion clamps can be a fight, so they're a little bit more sprung now. So I've got the one in. Let's get this one lined up where it needs to be. Looks like it can come over just a bit more. It needs to be there. I'm going to go ahead and cut a little bit of this neoprene strip because it is really tight. So. Alright, so I really had to fight this one. You have to cut quite a bit of that neoprene away to get it in. But it is definitely a fight. It'd probably be easier if I took the roof off, but I got it in there. So these are just a few tips to make sure you can cut quite a bit of this neoprene away. I cut about half of it on both of them, and I finally got it in there. So the Honda Talon combo kit comes with the jumper wire and usually a 4-foot extension cord, because you usually put the intercom in the in-dash where the switch panel is on this one. But because his is clear up here, and if you're ever going to do it this way, make sure you put in the notes that you need a 9-foot extension cord to get it up to there, because a 4-foot won't quite make it up there. But most people do the combo kit, so the 4-foot is plenty. It's actually too much to get up there, but you can go ahead and coil this one up. Not a problem. Extension cord doesn't need to be, this one can be coiled. So when I do this, I'll put the jumper wire in to here, and then this will connect into it doesn't matter which direction. You can put this in the radio or into the intercom at this point. The jumper wire will do its thing. But just because it's the connection point, when I'm going to be pulling on this, I'm going to actually put a little bit of electric tape around here to keep this connection together. So now I got it taped so it won't come unplugged. Just a little extra precaution there. I'm going to put my wire loom on here. I'm just going to feed my wire loom down along this thing. Tech tip, so I got two wires. One is my secret sauce and the other one is my PTT running down here, both low voltage. But if you notice, I ran the power wire on the opposite pillar, and that's always good practice to put the high voltage on one pillar and the low voltage on another going down into the dash. Some of the symptoms if you run the high voltage next to the push-to-talk wire, sometimes when you hold the push-to-talk down and then let release, it will stay on. And that's a symptom that maybe you've got the push-to-talk wire too close to a high voltage. Just running the headset wires. That's the power wire, but you can see the headset wire right over there. Because I offset the intercom, this is the center of the car. We had the mirror there and we couldn't get it right in the center. If you do this, make sure you request a 9-foot cord and a 4-foot cord. We typically do 4-foot cords for overhead, but because of that offset, I had to put a 9-foot cord, and I had a lot of extra, and I actually hid it up inside. I kind of coiled it up and hid it up inside that little part of the cab enclosure, and so it's going to be the same length on both sides. You can see it on this side. It's going to be the same length. It's just hid up inside this cab enclosure right here. This is the 4-foot cord. Leave a little bit of slack, kind of make it loose right there. Tighten up this, but make sure these aren't pulled so tight, because when you're going down the road, these cages flex more than you think. If you got this too tight, it'll actually kind of tug and pull out of the back of the intercom. So I like to leave a little bit of a loop so it's actually pushing into the intercom, and you shouldn't have any problems right there. So the whole mount PTT for the stock steering wheel, it comes like this. And you can strap it on either this direction, but I prefer on the back, so when you turn it, it's not in your way, but you can still press it. So I'm going to actually put it in the back like this. So you'll want to leave the one strap or one up like this, and then you'll feed it through this bottom, just like a cinch strap, and you'll see that I'll be able to cinch it up pretty tight. Okay, oops. Get this up a little higher. See it sunk down? You want that all the way up in there like that. It's sunk down on me, so test it. what's left of it, you feed it through. When you feed it through, and then strap it back to itself. Now that sucker's tight. I can put my PTT through, and then put the nut on the back side. So now when I push it, it's right there. I just connected the other end, just like this. And then I'm actually going to just use the cinch strap instead of the zip ties, or the zip ties we provide you, to hold this thing in place. You see now it's tugging on this instead of this. So I will probably put an extra zip tie around it just in case. But it's in place now. You can see how I ran the driver's PTT. I just went down, right down through there and into the hood compartment where I'll show you the other part. But it's pretty clean. And then this one just went straight into the compartment from behind this panel into the hood compartment. So leave it a little bit loose right there, which is fine. When this wraps around, it'll turn right into the see, it just wraps around the top right there and it's just fine. If you don't know what numbers those are, you look on the back side, you can see the numbers printed on the inside there. Oh, got them upside down. So you can see the 30s on the bottom, 85s on the right, 87s on the top, and 86 on the left. Again, 30 is the power coming to the battery, 87 is the power going out, 85 is your ground, and 86 is your ACC. I've got a wire mess here, but I'll clean it up here in a minute because it's all really loose, but I'm going to just go through this one more time. So here's the relay switch. The red is the power coming in. Remember, we ran this wire, this double wire right here. That's the power coming in. And then the yellow is not used. The white is the ACC power. So as soon as it's powered up from the key, there's a little plate that switches over, and then it'll connect the red wire up to the blue wire. So then the blue becomes hot. And that blue goes into the red of the noise filter. And then it comes into the noise filter and then goes down this blue wire of the noise filter, what we call the clean side. And it's going into this waggo right here. And this waggo, or lever nut, has two wires. And this is the radio, or this is the intercom and the radio. So intercom, radio, that's what goes to that. And then all the blacks go together. So the black of the, or the 85 of the relay, which is black, and then the black of the intercom, black of the ground coming in, and then also the radio and the intercom. So that's why I have so many black wires here. They're all just tied together. All the grounds go together. And that's it. So now I just need to clean up this mess so it looks nice and clean, and we'll go from there. I've cleaned up the power wires, put my noise filter there, I put my relay switch on the back side of this bar. Now I just barely ran my PTT wire down. Here's my PTT splitter. The one PTT for the driver's side's going down that way, the other one's coming in over here that goes into the back of the fuse box panel. So I'm just going to clean up these wires now, and then I'm going to put the hood back together. As an extra precaution, since this is where the PTT connects into the PTT splitter, both of them, I just put a little bit of black electric tape around it just in case they ever get tugged on or anything like that, that it helps hold them together. And I'm actually going to cap these extra two. If they ever needed an extra two PTT wires, I just capped those as well with some electric tape. Right, so the power comes in, and I just got my ground and my hot right to the battery, and that goes straight to the relay. So when that relay kicks on, it's pulling power directly from the battery, so there's less likelihood of any noise getting into the system. Alright, now that we've tested everything, we just need to button this last bit up, make sure those wires go in there good, and when you drill that, make sure you kind of look at the back of the the radio, because you've got to widen out that one hole, because you got the secret sauce cord that's got to go down with the coax and the power on the other side. So I wallowed out that hole pretty good and pushed it all the way to the driver's side. And so now that I've got this all flushed up, I'm just going to take my faceplate screws that were included, and typically I'd say drill, or not, don't drill these, but I just go really slow until it about touches. I don't, because if you spin them out, then they've stripped them out. So not touching, touching ground. Not touching, touching ground. So typically the ground wire does really well. But for some reason this Talon does better without the ground. So this customer elected to have the headset rack. It's pretty simple to install. There's actually two ways to install it. We actually have some holes that are underneath here if you want to just screw it straight to the roof. But most of the time, this neoprene strip just goes up against here and you tighten them down.